For years, you were told a simple story. Steel Rolex watches were better than gold. They were safe investments. Prices would only go up. Scarcity was real. And if you were lucky enough to buy one at retail, you should feel grateful just to be allowed in the room. That story is now collapsing. Not slowly, not quietly, but decisively. What we're heading toward in 2026 isn't just another market dip. It's a full recalibration. Economic, cultural, and industrial. And Rolex is standing directly in the blast zone. If the recent price drops felt uncomfortable, what's coming next will feel unavoidable. Before we break this down, make sure you're subscribed and notifications are on. The luxury market is changing fast, and most people won't see it until it's too late. The arrogance of the last 5 years. To understand why 2026 matters, you need to understand what Rolex built its empire on recently. Not craftsmanship, not innovation, but controlled scarcity. The brand trained buyers to believe supply would always trail demand. Authorized dealers stopped selling watches and started rationing them. Waitlists became leverage. Buying jewelry you didn't want became the entry fee. That system worked until it didn't, because Rolex made a fatal assumption. That demand would remain permanent. The industrial time bomb Rolex created. For years, estimates suggested Rolex produced around 1.1 to 1.2 million watches annually. Then the pandemic hype hit, and the brand made a decision it can't undo quickly: expansion. Factories don't appear overnight. There's always a delay between deciding to increase output and watches actually reaching stores. That delay is now ending. While most people are focused on Rolex's massive new facility, scheduled for later this decade, they're missing the real threat: temporary production sites already running. By early 2025, Rolex activated large-scale auxiliary manufacturing locations designed specifically to clear backlog and boost supply. By 2026, those facilities will have been operating long enough to flood the market. And here's the problem. Supply is rising just as the global economy is cooling. Scarcity is dying at the retail level. The illusion is already cracking. Those exhibition-only signs? Gone. Wait times for core models like the Submariner have dropped dramatically. Entry-level models are becoming walk-in purchases again in many regions. And once buyers realize they can simply wait and buy normally, fear disappears. When FOMO dies, premiums collapse. Rolex as an investment is officially dead. This is where things get brutal. From 2018 to 2022, people who didn't even like watches bought Rolexes because they believed they were beating traditional investments. That fantasy is over. Flagship models have already lost enormous value from their peaks. Some internet hype pieces are staring down declines that would have been unthinkable just 3 years ago. And here's the most dangerous moment. Retail prices are rising while secondary prices are falling. In 2026, those lines will cross. When a steel sports Rolex sells for the same or less than retail on the open market, the entire dealer game collapses. Why wait? Why bundle jewelry purchases? Why overpay? You don't. The gray market is heading toward a liquidity crisis. This shift is catastrophic for flippers and gray dealers. During the boom, turnover was everything. Buy fast, sell faster, hold nothing. Now, they're stuck. Inventory bought at peak prices is depreciating. Trade-ins are being refused or low-balled. Cash flow is tightening. And when dealers can't sell, they stop buying. That's how liquidity disappears. In 2026, expect mid-sized gray dealers failing, forced liquidations, fire sale pricing that pushes values even lower. This creates a double supply shock. New watches from Rolex collide with panic inventory dumped by collapsing dealers. The certified pre-owned problem nobody wants to admit. Rolex's official CPO program looked brilliant in a rising market. In a falling one, it's a liability. Authorized dealers are now holding used watches priced above market value, backed by Rolex branding, but disconnected from reality. Consumers see better prices elsewhere. Inventory stagnates. Dealers quietly step back. What was supposed to control the secondary market is now exposing just how far prices drifted from logic. The global pressure cooker. Rolex isn't just facing supply and pricing issues. China, once a growth engine, has turned hostile to visible luxury. Policy shifts and tax changes are making ownership less appealing and more risky. Those watches don't disappear. They get redirected to Europe, to the US, to already saturated markets. Meanwhile, rising tariffs threaten margins everywhere. No one escapes the cost. Not buyers, not dealers, not Rolex. Rolex is losing cultural ground. Perhaps the most dangerous trend isn't financial at all. It's cultural. The quiet luxury movement is real, and it's moving away from obvious flex pieces. Buyers want design, heritage, and discretion, not recognition from across the room. Rolex, once the symbol of success, is starting to feel predictable. At the same time, affordable luxury brands are capturing value-focused buyers. Independent watchmakers are attracting collectors chasing real rarity. Even Rolex's own sibling brand is eating into its territory. When everyone can get one again, exclusivity disappears. The fake problem is getting worse. As prices fall and desperation rises, counterfeit risk skyrockets. Authentication platforms are already reporting alarming rejection rates, with Rolex making up the majority of failed submissions. As replicas become harder to detect, buyer confidence erodes. And once trust disappears, transactions slow. The great recalibration. Let's be clear, Rolex isn't collapsing. They aren't going bankrupt. They'll survive. But 2026 marks the end of the supercycle. Supply is rising. Demand is weakening. Speculators are exiting. For flippers, the game is finished. For gray dealers, survival is uncertain. For authorized dealers, selling watches becomes a job again. And for anyone holding a modern Rolex, hoping it would fund their future, reality is about to hit hard. Final question. If you had $10,000 to spend in 2026, do you buy a Rolex at retail and ride out the storm? Or do you take that money elsewhere to design, craftsmanship, or true scarcity? Drop your thoughts in the comments. This recalibration is already happening, whether people are ready for it or not.